All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining this call. I know this was kind of an awkward time for some of us and a perfect time for some of us, but for me personally, going to get up at 9 o'clock at night and do a call after putting kids to bed can be kind of complicated for me. I'm going to ask you so I don't have to find the mute button. Can you guys mute yourself? Amy, you're probably all right staying on since we're going to be going back and forth a little bit.
Okay.
But going back to this year of leadership calls with John C. Maxwell, if you aren't familiar with that, our team specifically, there is a coach, Tracy Morrow. She's one of the founding coaches, and she has been doing mentorship on a one-on-one basis with John C. Maxwell. And so we have this very special opportunity to have these calls. And if you don't understand how strong that really is. I mean, he did not do this. He's done this 3 times in his entire career where he's offered this kind of opportunity to have these calls. I'm hearing a little bit of background sound. Let's see. Oh, let me just see if I can mute everybody just to keep it.
Which mountain is the top?
Why can't I find this button? Sorry, okay, whoever it was took it off, so we're good. Talking about the year of leadership, one of our first calls, John Maxwell encouraged us to figure out what it was that made us gulp, that one gulp, G-U-L-P, because I didn't know what he was saying on the call, but that thing that when we think about doing it, it kind of gives us butterflies and makes us sick to our stomach. And so this team call, and team calls in general, are actually something for me that are kind of a big gulp. Personally, I have a hard time committing to the calls. I've started them, as many of you have noticed. I don't do these very often, but I've started them. Life gets in the way. I feel like, either they're not helping or people aren't listening. They're not getting on the calls, not hearing the recordings. But I know and I understand the importance of having, this kind of constant and consistent connection with my team. And, maybe sometimes I may only have 3 coaches on the call, but those are 3 coaches that I'm going to commit to and to dig in with. And I'm just going to have faith that people are listening in on the recordings when I post them. Because I do feel like having that. I believe firmly in the national wake-up calls. I think you should be involved in those, hands down, if that's the only thing you can do. But having just a connection to someone a little bit closer to you in the business is incredibly beneficial. When Summer is my personal spot, or my coach, the coach who brought me into this business. But when we were building this business, there were many calls when it was literally just me and her mother-in-law on the call. And every week she would consistently show up and be on those calls and bring, it was one of the most encouraging things for me when I started this business. She just truly inspired and encouraged me and motivated me. So, that's what I need to do. That's where I need to take my big gulp and, commit to these calls. So I wanted Amy Kinard to join me on this call because she was really my first crazy nut. She's still really one of the very few of my crazy nuts who I personally sponsored in this business. There are other coaches who have joined my team who have become a little crazy, and I'm having newer ones come on. But, it's really hard to find that one person who connects to your vision. But, as for coaches in this business for the last 3 and 4 years between both of us, we have something that we want to share with our teams openly because success, isn't just a title. It's not a rank or a dollar figure. It's, it's really different for everyone. And Amy and I are both women of faith. We were both raised in Christian homes, and we've always had the desire to serve God and include Him in every part of our life. And once we became coaches and we started our business, we realized that being coaches and business owners allowed us to serve God in a whole new capacity. And so that's kind of what we wanted to share with you here. Just going back to a personal story, before I had children, we lived in Monterey, California, and I worked at a wine tasting room, one of my favorite jobs ever. But I worked behind the counter, and I would serve wine, and there were a couple of opportunities I could I could sell club memberships, and that would bring in extra income for me. I could sell, or I could make tips. It wasn't a job that really you got tips, but people would sometimes leave tips. And then there was another way that I could make money. I can't remember what it was. But anyways, there were 3 different ways. And I remember I would walk to work. It took me about 15 minutes, and I'd walk along this beautiful coastline to work. And I would pray every morning. I would pray for the company. I would pray for the owners of the company and for the prosperity of the business and for my own personal success, that, whether it be that day I was making great tips or, selling more clubs, then, whatever it may be, just for some success. And I remember every day I would go to work, something, and when I say tips, like I might have an amazing tip day that could have been like $50. I don't know. I think one day I walked out with like $75. It's not huge, but for a job that didn't give tips, and then I may not sell any club memberships that day. Or one day I may go into work and I'd sell like 10 club memberships and make no tips. But every day I could tie that taking time to pray for that company and that business and the owners to some sort of success in my business. So I'm going to pass it off to Amy, because we're going to talk a little more about that.
I want to thank Rebekah for having me on this call and initially inviting me to this crazy journey that we're on. I thank her all the time, because I don't know where I would be. I would be probably back teaching school and miserable, away from my family and not feeling like I was fulfilling my calling. Being a business owner, as most of you on here know, brings lots of challenges. This business brings lots of fear and rejection and disappointment, because we all know that not everyone is going to say yes to us. Not everyone is going to be that rock star coach that we envision for them. But this business can also bring to light faith, hope, acceptance, peace, and joy. And those are just a few. We could go on and on about what kind of positive things we've gained from this business. I've come to realize that being on this God-sized dream adventure, that God is using us and using me to serve Him. I've come to realize that this is my ministry. We don't have to be inside of a church to be serving God. That God uses people of all walks of life and different scenarios to witness to people and to be used by Him. So I hope, if you are a person of faith, that you will see that this is a way for you to serve God. We are helping other people to be better versions of themselves, while in turn doing the same thing for our own self. And when you're a better version of yourself, you can definitely serve God better.
Absolutely. And tying into that, when you said that, it just made me think of the bigger picture of the coaches on my team and how, they are changing physically. But as you grow your business and your team, you're going to find that helping others but become the best version of themselves means a whole lot more than just their health changes. You're going to find that you're able to help people who are suffering mentally and emotionally. And your character and your reaction to certain circumstances, because as you grow a team of women, let me tell you, some drama happens, does it not? Yes, some of you may know about that. But as you grow your team and you're just, things happen and just communication through Facebook and chatting causes misunderstandings. And so your character and your reaction to certain circumstances will be the example for that entire team. And I've been completely humbled by more opportunities to be that example. Thank God for my husband. I call him my filter, but I've been able to be that example more times than I would really like. But it's how we grow. It's how we learn. It's how we become people of better character. And really, success in this business is very much based on your character and the foundation you built with your personal character.
And I love that you have that scripture behind you, because that just fits perfectly with what you just said, that you're clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. Sorry. That was just, you should have pointed.
Go ahead, take it from there.
Oh, what was I? Oh, okay. We wanted to share, we came up with 4 points, because honestly, ladies, we could talk about this for an hour. Like when we had our little call, chat. Like we were on the phone for probably an hour and a half of like, oh, we should tell them this and we need to share this. So we came up with 4 points that we wanted to share with you on how we've grown closer to God through this God-sized dream and how it has impacted our success in this business and our ability to overcome failure, because we know that we're all going to fail at some point in this business. I just talked with my team on Monday about how fear is not our enemy. And so these 4 points are, I'm going to talk about 2 of them. Rebekah's going to talk about 2. Number 1 is put God first by making time for prayer and devotion. So starting your day with prayer and a devotional is a great place to start. When I started my journey back in January of 2012, I made my New Year's resolution to get closer to God versus just to lose weight. And I knew that those 2 were intertwined, and I had never fully done a devotional. I had said, okay, I'm going to wake up early, or I'm going to do it during nap time. I'll do it before I go to bed, but it never stuck. And so I always had an excuse on why I couldn't do it, why I couldn't get it done. I'm sure some of you can relate. You're busy with the kids. You just need to close your eyes a few minutes. So I made my focus for the new year to start my day with a devotional. And when I went to my bookshelf to see what I had, I picked up a devotional that I'd had on the shelf for years. And it was called, can you see this? Encouraging One Another. Still didn't think that this had anything to do with me starting a Beachbody business. It was just one that my friend had given me and I'd never done. I thought it was going to be the encouragement that I was going to need for a deployment, because my husband was deploying 2 months from January. And so I thought that was going to be something to get me through. Starting this devotional helped me to get into that pattern of starting my day with God. Now, is it perfect? Did I wake up every single morning at 5 o'clock smiling, ready to pick up my Bible and read? Do I still, 3 years, from when I started this habit, it still can be a struggle, but I know that when I do start my day with God, that things flow so much better. I find myself where I slack off on the weekend because I want to sleep in with my husband. And sometimes those days are crazier. You just are, more stressed. You didn't put that good word in your mind to start your day off. And now I can say that I honestly crave that time in the morning. I crave the coffee. I crave the quiet, and just that prayer time, even though it may not be perfect. Sometimes you don't know what to say or what to pray for, but just being alone and starting your day with some quiet thoughts has helped me. And I really have found that that God will reveal himself through Bible and prayer time. Through this devotional, it was about encouraging others. God revealed that I truly did have a gift for encouraging others, and that I needed to use it. I actually went back and was reading some of the notes that I had taken in there. And one of the verses was 1 Peter 4:10. It says, as each one has received a gift, minister it to one another as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. So we've been put on this earth to be encouragers for other people. And some people have that gift and some people don't. And that's okay. So there are some people that you may want to be a coach, but they might not have a gift to be able to do this, and that is fine. But if you feel that you've been called to this and you have a gift of encouraging other people, we shouldn't take that lightly, and we have to be good stewards of that gift and not hold on to that for ourselves. Through prayer, God has laid people on my heart that I need to invite. And at first, this was really awkward. Like this person kept coming to my heart, and I was like, this is weird. So do I know her? Am I that close to her? And so I invited her, and she said, oh my gosh, I was just talking to my husband about this, that I needed to do something. You are a godsend. And if I had not listened to that still small voice and invited her, where would she be right now? She's actually lost a good bit of weight, and she's a coach on my team. So it's really neat. Once I shared that with her, that I had actually been praying for her, she was like, wow. So, God really does use us, and we have to be open for that. And I also pray for God to send people to me to help. And when I do that, it's crazy. Like I'll open my Facebook the next day, and there's somebody who's saying, hey, I'm ready. Or someone that's not even on my list has messaged me and asking for my help. So I'm not saying that you just pray and everything's going to happen, everything's going to work out. God does require us to work. And one of the verses that that stick with me is Colossians 3:23. It says, "Work willingly at whatever you do, as though you're working for the Lord rather than for people." And I feel that if we keep this verse close to our hearts and apply it, then we can never be discouraged. So just always remember that you're doing this for the Lord.
Thank you. A point that I want to bring out as I'm listening to all this amazing content is that, though we use scriptures and we share our personal faith, this is all the exact content. If you read just general personal development books that speak nothing of faith or use scripture at all, you'll find that the principles are very much the same. And it's the basic principle of just loving others and being selfless. So it's nothing new. It's just the foundation of being a good human, a good citizen on the planet, if you want to look at it that way. But I want to move into our next point, which is being faithful with our time. This is where I would say probably all of us struggle, because we're all given the same 24 hours a day, right? So some of us have full-time jobs and families, and we're eking out time for our Beachbody business, and a lot of times that can be pushed to the back burner, especially if we're just starting out and we're not really seeing an investment on the time we're putting in. That's really discouraging to try to keep consistent with it when we're not actually seeing that return yet. But I don't really recall ever talking to someone who didn't have a busy schedule, or who boasted of all the free time they had and that they enjoyed. So most of us fill our days, and not only are we filling our days, but we're filling our days with more than we can actually handle. So for me, with 4 little ones at home and 1 on the way, 3 are in school, but summer's coming and they're about to be home in about 2 weeks. So whole different lifestyle. Even when I set aside time, and I'm sure many of you feel this way, because I think we all have kids, but even when you set aside time, it's interrupted with spilled milk, dirty diapers, sick kids, unexpected calls from school needing to pick up the kids. Some days you just absolutely can't get it all done. But what you can do, what you must do, is have a plan when you sit down to work. So one of the rules of 5 from John Maxwell, and if you don't know those yet, Amy and I need to get some work done if you don't know what they are yet. But one of the rules of 5 is every day I grow. So that encompasses a few things, including what Amy talked about with prayer and devotion. It also includes your personal development, your fitness. But the second rule is every day I plan. So literally every day, you have to have some sort of plan if you want to have success. If you have just 1 hour a day that you can focus on your business, and for many of us, some days that's the case, you have to know exactly what you're going to put into that hour to maximize your growth potential. So let's say you have an hour. You're going to do 10 minutes expanding your list. And your list is a physical list. It's not clicking on your friend's list on Facebook and going through that. That doesn't count. Your list is a physical list that you're tracking. I have my list from 3.
So I can't have my list in my head?
No, that doesn't work. It's not I know your head. That's not good.
Yeah, right.
So no list in your head. I was talking to a coach who's been on my team for 2 years, and I felt like a failure because when we started discussing her list, it's been in her head all this time. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I not know this? No. So, okay, 10 minutes, growing your list. And this is just an example, and it may fluctuate every day. You need to know your needs for your business. And if you don't, you need to talk to your coach. But 10 or 15 minutes inviting. And literally, if you have that list, you can get it done in 10 minutes or less, because it's copy and paste generally, unless you're building that relationship a little bit, which is also part of inviting. Spending 10 or 15 minutes planning out your post for social media. Some of you, if you're working during the day or you can't get to Facebook, it may be a matter of taking that time to plan out 3 posts for your day for what you want to say, not posting them all at once, but having that plan laid out so when the time comes you can copy and paste and make it easier. And then maybe 20 minutes checking in on your groups and following up with your current customers. Boom, right there is an hour. And if you sit down and you're not clicking on notifications and you're not immediately responding to the messages you send out, and you just wait until you can come back to it later that night, you can maximize that time incredibly. Amy.
I will say that one is probably one of the hardest, is being faithful with our time. I can relate to all of those things where someone's interrupting you, or like I had to go pick up my daughter from school yesterday and I had just sat down to do something, actually make notes for this call. So, we just have to get creative. And I try to express to my team that I've done nothing crazy. I'm not sitting in front of the computer 8 hours a day. I'm not sitting in front of the computer 5 hours a day. When I started, it was just 30 minutes. And I was nursing a baby, husband was deployed. So if I can do this, you can do this. Okay, number 3 is God's timing. We all know, or we've all heard the quote, God's timing is always perfect, never early, never late. And sometimes we have a big timeline for ourselves personally and in regards to this business. But God's timing is usually different than what ours is and what it may look like. So we may see a need in other people, for their health and fitness, and we offer our solutions and, join a challenge group, and we get nothing in response from them. But as time passes and we wait, they come back to us with their own intense desire to join a challenge group, and their success is greater because they were given the time to find their own need and their why for why they're doing this. So don't be discouraged by no's or even the silent treatment. And always remember that God's timing is perfect for everyone. Because I remember, I'll throw this in there, Rebekah had just started her business in October of 2011. And she messaged me I think she might have messaged me in October about Shakeology or something. And I looked it up and I was like, whoa, that's too expensive. I didn't respond. And then she just wrote like, Happy Thanksgiving. I still didn't respond. And we are like my husband's sister and her brother, or brother and sister. Did I say that right? My sister-in-law is her sister-in-law. So we're somewhat related, but I still ignored her. And she just wrote Happy Thanksgiving. And the timing wasn't right for me. So if she'd have pushed that on me and was like, hey, do you want to join a challenge group? Like, come on, let's sign up. Like, I'll get you on P90X. We'll drink Shakeology. This will be great. I would have totally shut down. But just her being genuine and just saying Happy Thanksgiving, like, that's not a big deal. I just knew that she still cared. And once I was ready in January, I contacted her and I was ready and I did well and I was successful. So just remember that just because, God lays someone on your heart, or you feel the need to invite someone that just because they're on their list and they're next, that it might not be the right time. So don't get discouraged. Where was I? Okay. And also, as far as God's timing in this business, like I said earlier, I was a school teacher. And after I had my second child, I decided I was going to stay home for 2 years with my new baby. But the whole time I was rocking this new baby, I was praying and crying like, I don't want to go back. It was still 2 years away, and I was already dreading this going back to work and putting my baby in daycare, and just all of these things were going through my head. And I remember just praying like, God, just give me something that I can do from the house that's legit, like medical coding. I will buy and sell on eBay. I had already tried previously after my first daughter. I bought smock dresses and tried to sell them. Yeah, that didn't work. So my husband, I don't think I ever told you that, Rebekah, today. My husband always made fun of me for that, because that was like my dream to stay home, and I was going to be a business owner and I wanted to do this, and it was silly. I think now, knowing what I know now, I think I could have made it work if I'd have done things a little different anyways. But I really just prayed for God to send something. And when Rebekah asked me to coach, no idea that this would be the door. I signed up to coach just for the discount, like cheap military wife. I'm getting the discount. We don't have the money. I'm just going to buy 1 month of Shakeology. That's it. Little did I know that this was going to be the door that God was going to open to allow me to stay home with my children, which was my passion. And so what else was I going to say? But God answered that prayer for me, and it's really beautiful to look back at it and see that that His timing was perfect. I never would have thought that God would use me in health or fitness, because I was very far from the ideal health and fitness coach. And God has also revealed His timing with me in this business, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate with this. You may not feel that you are where you should be as far as the rank structure in Beachbody, or where you are as far as your income, where you thought you would be. I've been a coach for 3 years, and I've been sitting at 1 star for 2 years now. And that's discouraging at times when I see people that came in at the same time as me and they've shot to the top, or they have 5-star lead, or, sometimes I'll compare myself to Rebekah. Well, where was she at this point? Well, obviously she wasn't still sitting at 1 star 3 years later, but that can't hold me back. And I always have to remind myself that God's timing is always perfect. There's a reason for this, and I just have to keep being diligent in all the areas. And I know without a doubt that I'm going to reap what I sow in His time, not my time. And it's definitely built my level of faith and trust that God is in control of this business. And I think we have to continually give it to Him, because there are times where I'm like, okay, I got this. Like, just let me do this. I can figure this out. And I end up working more and neglecting something with my kids or my family. And I think we have to keep Him first to keep us in check, to keep us balanced. So don't be discouraged if you aren't where you think you should be. Just know that you're right where God wants you to be, and keep being faithful with what He has given you with this business.
Absolutely. And I just adding to that point, because I get this image of Amy sitting there rocking her baby and praying for God to send something to her. And, on the other side of that, I'm hearing, feeling the call to send Amy a message, like those two things tie together. So when you need to think about Amy's story and get that vision in your head, because when you feel like you should be inviting somebody and there's that fear there of like, I'm scared to send the message, why can't I hit send? Because that's where our big issue is really with most of us, is inviting to the coach opportunity. You need to think about that mom who's sitting in the rocking chair crying because she doesn't want to leave her children at home. And by you keeping that opportunity to yourself, and refusing to share it with them, well, that's kind of unfair, right? So you need to be willing to see the bigger picture and offer that opportunity. And I know we're coming up on the 30-minute mark, and I'm very serious about my timing, so we're going to power through these last two. And
sorry, I talked too much.
No, it's okay. It's good content. So number 3 is giving and being generous. And I love this one. I'm going to share something personal with you guys to kind of drive home a very important point.
That's number 4, by the way.
Huh?
It's number 4.
Oh, are we on number 4?
Yeah, we are. Sorry.
Awesome. Well, we're doing okay. But I will power through this. So, have you ever heard the saying, it's more blessed to give than to receive? I encourage you to practice this and practice it big and really put that to the test. My parents were, they've always raised me to be givers. My mom taught me in the form of tithe and offering to the church. She used to volunteer at the nursing home and just give her time and love to those who were less fortunate. My dad taught me in his generosity to people he knew. We didn't grow up with a lot of money at all. But what we had, my mom especially made very sure that she gave generously. And I'm so very thankful for that lesson from my mom. And that I married a man who finds giving just as important as I do. And as long as I can remember earning an income, even as a 13, 14-year-old babysitting, I can remember giving a portion of that. Recently, we were in a meeting with our accountant, and we were discussing our finances for the year. And he circled the number on our tax return that was the donations category. And he said, and I quote, "This is why you're blessed." And he went on to tell about clients that he sees on a daily basis who make millions of dollars. They're broke, they're sad, they're sick. And he made this direct correlation to their mental and their physical state. And the numbers that he said, a lot of times, most times, it's absolutely zero in that charitable donation. That to me blows your mind, blows my mind, but because I can't imagine making that much money and not in some form or fashion being charitable with it. But, his statement didn't really shock me. I was surprised to hear him make that direct correlation out loud to us. But I firmly believe that our success is tied with how much we give of our time, our energy, our love, and our income to others. Why would we keep it? Even if you're broke and in debt, give something. You have something to offer people. And this business gives you a ton of things to offer people. So the more we continually think about how you can be a blessing to others. I want you to, when you're working this business, every day as you sit down, let that be your first thought. It's not about me. It is not about me. I remember taping that all over my computer, my workspace when I first started this business. How can I bless others? That should be your first question when you sit down to work your business. I remember Summit 3 years ago, I was a brand new coach, and hearing a coach speak who had just won the humanitarian award. And she quoted the verse, to whom much is given, much is required. And this hit home with me. I hear it all the time in my head. And I began to see a bigger vision of where I needed to be and what I needed to do. And with all, I knew that something big was happening in my life. I knew something was coming, and I needed to know how to handle it. And so at that point in my life, I was scared of success. I was scared of wealth. I didn't want to be responsible. So I actually just began to pray, that as I was given more, that God would give me wisdom in how to use that for his glory and not for mine. And that still continues to be my prayer, because it's very easy to get caught up in the unnecessary things of this world. Just as a few closing thoughts, Amy and I, we're really so blessed in our lives. Amy constantly inspires me with her integrity, her faith, her dedication to her family, no matter what. Of all the successful coaches that I know personally, I can't speak for any of the top coaches because I don't really know them personally, but Amy has been the one that has inspired me most, because I can personally see the balance of her priorities in her life. And that literally she has gotten to where she is, a 6-figure income, with just a couple of hours a day. And she means it. I mean, she would do her work time, and then she would make breakfast for her family, and then she'd scrub her kitchen floors with Clorox. So
not anymore.
Okay,
I hired someone.
Anymore.
Finally.
So, I mean, you can grow and develop, and you start to outsource as you grow, and then you get to bless people more. So don't look at that as a bad thing when you can start to outsource. You're blessing other people with a job. So as I considered our success and seeing so many on our team struggle, it really made me think hard about what I was really doing, and how I was, and how it impacted my business, and how I could pass that on to my team. I don't want to lead you to think, and Amy talked about this too, that we just sit around and pray and God sends us people and it's all good. We work hard and we work smart. And we work with a strong faith that really neither of us, I think, would know what we would do without it. We have no idea how we'd survive. But we do know people who do it. There are lots of successful people in the world who have little or no faith. And I guess, it really depends on what your definition of success is. Are they miserable, making lots of money? But we just wanted to share with you what we do. Because, if we're having all this success, and we really see this as like a powerful foundation to what our success is, then it seems super unfair not to share that with other people, just so maybe you can try it, right? All right, I know we are running over on time, but we wanted to be able to open up to any kind of questions. If anything that we said hit a chord, and you have a personal story to share along the lines of, just putting your faith into this, into God and seeing him transpire in your business. If you have anything you want to share along that line, just a quick story, we'd love to hear it. Does anybody want to jump in and offer anything?
If not,
Yay, Nikki!
Hey, why not? I mean, the whole signing up as a coach thing in the first place was all just kind of a big crazy leap of faith. And I mean, I haven't even been doing it for a year, but it's just been incredible for our family. And that's having a devotional every day is something that I try to do. And that's also been, I can always tell when I miss my devotionals and I'm not staying on top of my prayer life, because my work does not do as well every time. So I really appreciated that. Also, if you would maybe post in the Rock or something, but the being faithful with my time is a total challenge. I've got a just turned 2-year-old. I have an almost 15-month-old. I'm due in like 2 months with my third, and time gets crazy. So I don't know, maybe if you want to just share that out more in the Rock a little bit too or something, just kind of remind people again about that, because that was something I needed to hear today for sure.
That's the time, yep.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was just going to say, I needed this morning big time. So thank you. Like I get so caught up in the where I want to be that I forget to see where I've been blessed and give thanks for it. And I feel like I need to get back to writing those things down, because last year I'd set some big goals, and then we ended up being pregnant with number 6, and it just didn't turn out the way I wanted at the end of the year, and I started to feel kind of like a failure. But because of I was so focused on trying to keep up with the people that I look up to and see that as a sign of doing well. But then it was in January, my husband was offered like his dream job, and the only reason he could really take it is if he quit all his side jobs. And we looked at my income, and as little as it is, it was exactly what his side income was. So he could take his job without the stress of, having to do all these extra talks and retreats and traveling and everything else. And so as much as I was like mad that I didn't hit whatever, it made me have to sit back and like think of what you were saying about God's timing. Like, this is what he needed us to do right now. And I think it's baby steps. And I think he just is slowly pulling me along, and I need to trust more in that, because now I have more goals that are set. I'm trying really, but I mean, I have 6 kids and they're all under 11, and they're going to all be home this summer. So for me, it's that diligence with your time and the trust. And so I even told my husband this yesterday to help me pray more for the business, because I think I forget to pray, and I do. And if I'm doing but not praying, then it's just fruitless, because I'm going to feel like I'm never doing enough. But it was good for you guys to share these things. Like, I can't wait to share this with my team, because we can get so caught up in what we're not doing that we miss the good that's going on and the blessings we already have, that this business has done. And I should trust in that. If God's brought us, he's never like left me high and dry, so thank you for everything.
Have you read The Circle Maker? I wanted to share some books that I like to overlap my
Amy, hold that thought one more second. My sprinkler guy is here. Just text me. Is in the garage waiting for me. So will you finish this up?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Brady is off his FaceTime. I had my mom FaceTime him so we could have some time. You can tell Mimi she can go to her funeral, and she's fine. Okay. I was going to share some personal development books that I like to overlap my personal development with some faith-based reading. I feel like I get, more out of my time. And one of them is The Circle Maker, which I'm currently reading right now by, I think it's Mark Batterson. Have you read that, Kelly?
No, it's actually next on my list.
Get that book, because I feel like that really has helped me focus. He talks about like circling your prayers and circling, I wrote down everybody on my team that is actively coaching, and I'm circling their name, and I'm circling their name in prayer every day, because if we just pray for ourselves and our business, we're not going to go anywhere. But we need to be praying for these women on our team and how we can serve them and how we can help them and how they can grow their business. So The Circle Maker is what I'm reading right now, and I really enjoy it. And then also You're Made for a God-Sized Dream. Yeah, it's by Holly Girth. She actually has like 3 or 4 books out they're all great. I've read 2 of them, and I think she just had a new one that came out. And then they've got the devotional with it, opening the door to your God-sized dream. So this is really good. It's like 60 days or 40 days of encouragement. So it's just like a short little excerpt to help you with that. I don't even know what I'm saying. He's in my face. But yeah, this is the little man that I would rock, and what a blessing it is that I'm here. That I've been with him for 3 years. He's getting ready to go to preschool, and it breaks my heart, because I'm like, I don't want you to go. Like, I'm here, but I think it's going to be good, because I'll have some time. He needs time away from me for him to go to school and learn, and then I can actually probably focus. Because this morning I was up at 6 o'clock, and I was going to come in here to do my alone time, and 6:10, here he comes. Pop, 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 pop. What do you do? It happens. It's my early bird. Anybody else have questions? Go let Rocco out. Unmute yourself, Mandy. You can't figure it out? Should be the bottom left.
Okay, I got it. I thought maybe Rebekah had me muted or something. Mine is more of a logistical question. I'm sorry to detract from the faith for a moment, but you guys were talking about your time and how you should not respond to people when you're doing like your invites or whatever. But I just ran into that last night. Like, I've really been trying to make a more focused effort to, do 15 minutes of invites, 15 minutes of follow-up. But when someone responds to you right away, you've got them on the hook. Should you not engage? They know you're there. Like, should you not follow up with that right then?
I don't know what Rebekah does, but if I'm on a roll, sometimes I will. Like, if I know that they're responding, I'll write them back. Or maybe, here she comes. We can ask her what she does. Or
I heard the question.
You did. Do you respond back right away if they're?
I don't now. It's a case-by-case situation. I really think you have to know the situation, because some people, there have been times when I, couldn't respond right away, and they're like, never mind, I just ordered. And I'm like, awesome. And they got a program instead of the challenge pack, and so it creates a whole new deal. So you have to kind of know the situation. I read that first line that comes up and decide if it's something I need to respond to right away or open up, because it really can become a time suck to go back and forth.
Yeah, it quickly hijacked my time, and I didn't get all the invites out that I wanted to because of that.
Yeah.
And I will say that the message can sit there for, I've got 8 messages right now that I need to respond to. The message can sit there because most people aren't on Facebook as much as us. And they're not sitting there like, is she going to respond yet? I'm ready.
Exactly.
So it can wait 24 hours. It's not going to be life or death. Because once again, you have to balance that. You could sit there and spend an hour.
And you want to set the example too, because if this is someone who may be a potential coach in the future and they think, oh my God, all she does is sit on computer all day responding, she's always here, you want to set the example that way. So do it case by case. If you have the time to do it and you can, then do it. But otherwise, you're probably going to have 20 minutes at the end of the night where you can quickly go through and respond to.
Okay.
No.
Thanks.
All right. Anything else?
Did you have any other PD book? I shared The Circle Maker and The God-Sized Dream.
Those are my 2 most favorite books. One of the things that really I think that helped me propel my business was it's an audio though. It's like a 6 or 10 hour training by Danny Johnson called 6 Figures in 6 Months. And it really impacted me more from a business aspect, but she is a person of faith, so she shares a lot of faith in her stuff. But really, God-Sized Dream and Circle Maker are 2 of my favorites.
John C. Maxwell has some devotionals too. I got his leadership devotional, it's not even like a devotional. It's more like and that's good too.
This is a really good one that I've handed out to some of my coaches, but it's very business. They're very short.
Yeah.
That right there is all it is for a day. And it's very business related.
Yeah.
I like that one. Anything else?
I just have to say, when you talked about sharing yourself and giving of yourself, it kind of made me tear up a little bit. I just got back from South Carolina. I was just helping my niece plan her wedding that I planned all the way from Wisconsin, and it took a lot of my time, a lot of my effort. And I feel like I am a giver. I give a lot of myself, but I don't think I'm always incorporating God first, and I need to put that back in it so that maybe it will bring the circle all the way around and I'll get where I want to be. So I just felt like that meant a lot.
I definitely think it's always worth a shot. We could be wrong. I don't know, Amy. We could be wrong. But it's worth a shot. Thank you for that, Nicole. And I'm by no means perfect. I'm right there with Amy. I get up, I get busy, I forget sometimes, but I definitely notice it in my day.
Yeah.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much for getting on the call. I know we went up to 45 minutes. That's big time for me. That starts making me stressed out when we get past 30 minutes. But
thank you for listening to us.
Yeah.
We've gulped our gulp.
Yeah, we're gulped.
We're gulped. I gulped. I gulped today.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you.
See you later. Have a good day.
Bye.